perfect guest for me right now is Holly Rowe, my good friend from ESPN. And Holly, I'm going to say it, face of the WNBA. You've been so instrumental for me in getting me caught up to speed on everything that has to do with women's sports. And you're the face to me of coverage of the WNBA. Where are we finding you and where are you going?
So I'm home right now in Salt Lake City, and I am getting on a plane this afternoon to go to Indianapolis. We've got our tip-off tomorrow, Chicago Sky at Indiana Fever. It's sold out. It's going to be electric, and I can't wait. The W season really gets started today. The Valkyries playing their first game, the new expansion team, the first in 17 years. So it's really exciting what we've got going on this weekend in the W.
I mean, you're really seeing the fervor expand and explode in a way we've never seen it before. Ticket sales up 145%. Let's get right down to the important things. Prognosticate for me. Who is going to be the MVP in this season?
Well, I think there's three candidates. I always say A'ja Wilson. She's coming off a historic year, and she only looks better. She said she had a really good offseason as far as mental and physical rest. I was talking to her coach from South Carolina, Dawn Staley, and Dawn said A'ja came here for a few weeks, and watching her work taught our young players a lot about what it takes to be a WNBA All-Star. So I would say A'ja. Breanna Stewart is always in that conversation. She was the MVP year before last. And then I'm going to put Napheesa Collier up there. I think Napheesa is a player that only gets better. We saw her as the MVP for Unrivaled in the offseason. And then I would say Caitlin Clark. Caitlin finished in the top 4 voting last year for MVP. I don't see why she can't be even better this year because her game continues to elevate.
And what are you expecting to see from her? I mean, obviously we've seen her coming back, bulked up, stronger, ready to play even a more physical game than we saw from her last year. What are you expecting ahead of this first tip-off and the year ahead for her?
I got to see Caitlin Clark play about 10 days ago in an exhibition game. The Indiana Fever went back to Iowa, and what I could see is she's leaner and stronger. She told me that she has actually lost, not weight, but her body has kind of recompositioned a little bit. I think I just made that word up, but she hasn't gained weight, but she's gained muscle. How's that? She said she's the strongest she's ever felt. And that's really important because I think one thing that rookies and people don't understand about this league, it is grown women. They are strong. They are physical. And I thought Caitlin did a pretty good job adapting to the physicality last year. But I think it means something that she thought she needed to get stronger. And so for her to come into this season and tell me I'm the strongest I've ever been, I think that's important for Caitlin Clark. And then you already saw it. She's hitting like 36-foot shots, like just insane. Her range never went anywhere. So I think it's going to be a fun season for her.
Who's the rookie that you really want to keep an eye on?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I think there's a lot. But one rookie that I've got my eye on this is going to be an odd answer. Obviously, Paige Bueckers, the #1 overall pick for Dallas. I think how she acclimates to playing alongside Arike Ogunbowale is really interesting for Dallas. Their first game is sold out as well. But then Sanaya Fagan is a player. She just posted this incredible video yesterday. She's a late round draft pick. She sat in that draft room for a long time, and that's hard. And I watched this video of her making the LA Sparks yesterday. She's a player that played at South Carolina, really started to blossom this year. And I think she's a player that maybe a lot of people slept on that could be good in this league.
We had Rakia Jackson on Women's Sports Now exclusively on Roku, and we were blown away by her and also what we expect to see from her this season. So you mentioned the Sparks, so I bring that up. I'm looking at sleeper teams. And again, I'm biased because I work with Renee Montgomery and I know how hard she works on building the dream. But I'm curious about who you see as being a potential sleeper team out there.
I do think Atlanta is a sleeper team. Anytime you've got Brittany Griner at 6'8", I do think Brittany still has a lot of gas in her tank. And then they also got another all-star, Brianna Jones from the Connecticut Sun. So their front court is big and strong and a mismatch every single night. And then they have got one of the most exciting players in the league who won both the MVP of the All-Star game and the Skills Challenge last year, Alicia Gray. I think she's a player that not enough people talk about in this league, so I want to put her name out there. So I do think the contenders are the New York Liberty to repeat, the Las Vegas Aces, the Minnesota Lynx, and I do think Atlanta has a chance to be a team that people sleep on. They've got a new coach who is kind of a run and gun. He's got an interesting analytical system. I think they're going to have a lot of fun this year.
Yeah, plus they also drafted Tahina Pau, who I think is like really, really fun to watch. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Dream does. But Holly, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Women's College World Series because I know you're embedded in that as well. And like, I feel like this year, obviously, Oklahoma could go for their 5th title, which is insane to even say out loud. But it feels like, this year they're not going into the World Series #1, and it feels like there's a little bit more parity at the top. So who do you like in the World Series?
Okay, first of all, hi. Hi. I haven't gotten to meet you, but I'm a big fan of what you're doing, and you're so funny. So anyway, hi.
Oh my God, I just like
Let's just
blushed.
get right into Oklahoma. Let me get to the pitching and the rise ball.
She literally is blushing. You were turning 17 different shades of Dior pink right now.
No one does this to her either.
I definitely did not think that Holly Rowe even knew who I was. So this is very cool.
Yeah. So listen, it's really cool. So Oklahoma has won 4 straight national championships. That's never been done. It's historic. A 5-peat would be insane. But the thing that I think is really cool about Oklahoma is they won 4 straight national championships. And then last year they lost 10 players off of that championship team. So they come into this season and they join the SEC, the deepest, hardest conference in softball. And they won it with 14 new players. It's just insane. I think more people need to be talking about what Patty Gasso's doing. But I also think a team to keep your eyes out for is Texas A&M. They're the #1 overall seed. And you would absolutely love Trisha Ford. She is like our kind of lady. She is like, tells it like it is, straight shooter, really good at her job. She's the coach that I think every woman in America would be like, I like her. She's my kind of lady.
Yeah, and what about Bree Hennessy with, right? Bree Ellis, at Arkansas.
Yeah, Bree Ellis from Arkansas. So she's our big basher. She's putting up like Babe Ruth-like numbers. We were comparing some of her numbers to Barry Bonds and other people, and it's like really insane how good she is getting on base. She's got 26 home runs this season. She could possibly break the single season home run record. And I talked to her the other day, and I'm just like, do you ever talk to young people that are like brimming with confidence? I feel like sometimes, women are like their own worst enemy of like, well, I'm trying really hard, or I don't know how great. And she's just like, yeah, I'm seeing the ball. I'm bashing the ball. I am really good. And I feel great about myself right now. And she's just like this breath of fresh air of like complete confidence, which is really fun.
Yeah.
I would love if that could be bottled up. I would pay top price for that. Holly, hi. First time, long time. First of all, I loved your jumpsuit at the draft. It was gorgeous. You looked amazing, a vision. But you talked about some of the new coaches in the NBA. I almost said NFL. I'm so used to just talking NFL. It's like I've been programmed by Roger Goodell in the league. But you mentioned the Dream's new head coach, and there's so many new head coaches in the league. So a lot of them are coming over from college too. So when you look at the new head coaches that are making that transition, you mentioned the analytics side of things. Can you tell us a little bit more about like his whole personality with the Dream?
Yeah, it's really interesting this year because there are 8 new coaches in a 13-team league. Like, just think about that level of turnover for this year. It's crazy. And I don't know, it's really crazy. And with that turnover comes a lot of different systems. So first I'll start out where you guys are with the Sparks. Lynn Roberts is a coach that I just think is a badass. Oh, can I swear on this show? I didn't ask that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you go. You make the rules.
Badass. And she has a system that is like no bad twos. It's like really high level threes or at the rim, super high efficiency. And she took the University of Utah to their first ever Pac-12 championship. They were one missed free throw away from upsetting LSU the year they won the national championship with Angel Reese. So I think Lynn Roberts is a star on the make, and she's got a really interesting system. The other coach I would say is interesting. We talked about Carl Semesco at the Atlanta Dream, but Tyler Marsh is a coach that is at the Chicago Sky. He was with Becky Hammon in Las Vegas for back-to-back WNBA championships. And I was talking to Angel Reese last week, and she was telling me about his new system. They're kind of going to be a 4-out, 1-in with Camila Cardoso. That means Angel Reese is going to be more on the perimeter, taking different types of shots than she's ever taken before, having more space for the bigs like Angel and Camila to operate in the post. and in the lane. So I think what Tyler Marsh is putting in, now he's got some outside shooting with Ariel Atkins, Courtney Vandersloot, players that can stretch the floor, that can drive and kick. I think Chicago is going to be a team to be reckoned with. And Angel Reese said it. We are going to make the playoffs. She's like, it hurt her soul last year not to make the playoffs. She even went to some playoff games just to get the feeling of what it should feel like to be playing in those playoffs. So I love what Angel's coming in with the mindset to attack. She has really embraced what her new coach is asking of her. And so I think Chicago is a team to really keep your eye on with their new coach, Tyler Marsh.
I expect a lot out of Angel Reese. I love her drive. I love how she plays. I love her court demeanor. I love what she's doing with Magic Johnson, trying to teach girls to plan ahead with money, etc. You mentioned Camila Cardoza, and I want to bring up another big who I love so much, Lauren Betts. And I saw you at a couple of the UCLA games. I'm going to show you this picture that happened yesterday. Let's see if we can bring it up. That's my daughter, Taylor, and there is Lauren Betts, who took her time with Gabriela Jaquez to go speak to a bunch of 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 9-year-olds, you name it, at the Pan Pacific Rec Center. And I just cannot get over her composure, the way she plays, her generosity of time. And I'm just curious for you, let's just take 1 second to talk about college before we have to say goodbye. But what do you expect moving forward as you look ahead at this year? Lauren's obviously having her sister come as well. She's going to be joining us very soon on Women's Sports Now to talk about her experience of playing. But what do you prognosticate ahead, looking ahead for UCLA and also for the season as a whole?
Yeah, UCLA got to the Final Four this year, and they did not have their best performance. And, I felt so sad for them because, I never root for somebody to win, but I always want teams to be the best version of themselves, and they weren't that day. But Lauren Betts comes back. Her sister, that was the MVP of the McDonald's All-America game, Sienna, will join her at UCLA this coming season. So I think that's going to be a really exciting team to watch. We've seen the transfer portal hit women's college. Niele Ivey at Notre Dame has to reformat a little bit. Even Dawn Staley at South Carolina, that was a blow to have Malaysia Fulwiley transfer out. So the era of the transfer portal is hitting women's college. I think that's a factor. USC is also going to be a team to keep your eye on because Juju will likely be out for much of the season after tearing her UCLA. So how can they navigate that? I think that's going to be very interesting. But I want to get back to Lauren Betts because seeing her there with your daughter, it just warms my heart because Lauren was very vulnerable this year and did an unbelievable article with ESPN.com about her mental health struggles and about being hospitalized and the thoughts that she had of not being worthy and not being able to handle all of the expectations of her. And when we were meeting with her at the Women's Final Four, she literally, I broke down in tears because she said, after I put that article out about how hard it's been with my mental health, so many people reached out to me and helped and said, you have helped me. You have helped save my life. And she said, I feel like I'm watching my little girl self heal in real time.
Wow.
This little girl that had been bullied and treated so poorly and had damaged her as an adult. And she said, I'm watching my little girl self heal. And so I just want to thank Lauren Betts. Her putting out her journey and being vulnerable is helping other people. And I just commend that young woman, all that she's doing to give back and stay strong. It's still hard to be her and stand out in a way that she does. So I just want to send a lot of love and appreciation to Lauren Betts for teaching us all how to be strong and how strength can look different for everyone.
Well, that's exactly right. And we've been really leaning in heavily into the mental health aspect of Mental Health Month for Women's Sports Now exclusively on Roku. And she was meant to join us, I think last week or the week before, and had to reschedule. And we're really looking forward to that because, like you said, she's been honest and generous, and too many women, I think, struggle and they try to keep everything together. We talk about that a lot on the show, that everything looks perfect, but behind the scenes, we're all athletes. We've all experienced different levels of stress and anxiety, what have you. And so we really are so thrilled to have her on. I think she's such a great role model. Before we let you go, Colleen, you had a thought.
Well, I mean, coming off of that, now I feel like asking about Golden State and the Valkyries, what you expect from them is like kind of a left turn. But I am curious, like new franchise, what do you expect from Golden State?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for them this year because they have a brand new roster. I do love some of the players they have on their roster. Kayla Thornton is a player that everyone in America should be screaming at the top of their lungs. She's one of the most versatile players in the WNBA, and no one talks about her. So she was on the New York Liberty last year, played a crucial role in their Game 5 win against Minnesota, and now she's on the Valkyries. So she is someone that I feel like is a foundational player they can build around. But, listen, it's going to be hard. Tiffany Hayes is also a really great player that's played with the Atlanta Dream for a long time. She was with the Las Vegas Aces last year and a crucial piece to their playoff run. So Tiffany Hayes is another crucial player for the Valkyries. But listen, it's going to be hard. This league is so hard. You guys saw all of the cuts that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
and I think it just reinforces you have to be one of the top, I'm bad at math. What's 144 plus 12?
136,
yeah, so,
I think.
Yeah, so you have to be one of the top players in the world to even get a sniff at a WNBA roster. And then you add in a new expansion team that are going to be learning the ropes. And it's going to be challenging for them this season. But what I love is the Bay Area has gotten behind them. Their season ticket sales are over 10,000 people. I won't be shocked if that building isn't close to being sold out tonight. I'm just really excited for the Valkyries. The Bay Area has been starved for a WNBA team for a long time, and they finally get it. I've talked to so many people that are like, we're going, we got our tickets. And I'm just sending a lot of love and excitement to the Valkyries tonight as they tip things off.
And Sephora being a huge backer of them. I can't wait to see what those bathrooms look like up there and all the little samples that are in there. And that's the other thing that I'd love to bring up is how many sponsors are coming to the WNBA. We know that next year there are 2 more expansion teams. Serena Williams is an investor in one. One's in Portland, one is in Toronto. But that's the last thing I want to talk about is just the way sponsorships are seeing the money and seeing the support. We talk about this all the time on women's sports now. The women are the ones who write the checks, who buy the clothes, who shop for the gear. And I think we're really seeing that change, Holly, for somebody who's covered the league for as long as you have. All of a sudden, we're talking Sephora, we're talking Starbucks. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on seeing these major brands embrace the WNBA and its players.
Yeah, I think that brands have finally caught up with the social media because the W is one of the hottest. I think they were the second overall sports league, maybe behind the NFL, for social media impressions and interactions this last season. So that's where brands want to be. Brands want to be with young consumers on social media. And so I think there's no better way to position themselves than with the WNBA and with women's sports. Like you said, women decide where a lot of the money gets spent. I know I'm headed to Sephora literally as soon as we hang up with this call to get my stuff for my trip I'm going on tonight. But I think that it's really cool. Like we saw Rihanna with her Fenty brand. They just sponsored the New York Liberty. CoverGirl is sponsoring the Chicago Sky. NYX is sponsoring a team. There's all these brands that are finally getting involved. And I love it because between the intersectionality of sports, fashion, culture, and social justice, I think the WNBA is kind of the it place to be, and brands are starting to figure that out.
No kidding. Well, here are words that have never been said before on the Rich Eisen Show. We love Sephora here. So I'm just saying I totally get it. I'm just saying, all right?
No, I'm obsessed. If they could give me a personal brand deal, because no one spends more money at Sephora than I do.
Sephora, are you listening? Megan, Anna, come on, let's go. Holly, thanks again for joining us. Have a safe flight. And tell Caitlin I said hi. My kid wears her shirt every day, a different Caitlin or a different Juju. The funniest thing about yesterday, I have to tell you before you go, is she was wearing a Clippers jersey over because Clippers sponsor all the different rec leagues around here, but she had a Juju shirt on. So she's like, Mom, a Juju shirt
with Lauren.
And there's Lauren. She was horrified. I was like, don't worry. She loves Juju. There's enough love to go around with women's sports. Have a safe flight. Thank you.
Court, it's not, but when they're off the court, it's love and respect. So I'm sure. But I love that your little girl is so into this. That's literally what our job is to empower this next generation. And these women are doing that. So that's really cool.
They're crushing it. Holly, safe travels. Please come back anytime you want.
Thanks, Holly.
Bye. Thank you.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.